So with that, I really want to introduce the star of this place, is basically this team right here. These guys are working tirelessly. I don't think I ever see these guys sleep. They're working so hard for us. So I want to introduce Eric. He was from Georgia, pastor's son. Started this dad talk specifically to fight for this, and you'll hear his story. Yeah, that one's right.
Hey guys, thank you for having us here tonight. Talking about the Fatherless Conference, a lot of these guys, to be honest with you, the reason these kids don't have a father, they just don't want to pay child support. That's the truth of it. They try to escape from their duty. They just don't want to be dad. This is what millions of fathers every year hear when they go to family court. It's what's called gaslighting. Their kids are dangled over their head for one reason: money. They like to get them all riled up, all angry. And at that time, look at who he is. Ajit talked about the silver bullet. The silver bullet tactic is where I make a false allegation of physical or sexual abuse. Now, who wants to think something like that could actually happen to a child? Nobody. We instantly rush, and that person is guilty until proven innocent. For years, this has been used inside a family court to get that upper hand. And we're starting to see it more. Anybody see the case with Brett Kavanaugh, the false allegations? You don't have to prove it. You just got to say that it happened. And unfortunately, that's where it's all stemming from. Guys, my name is Carroll. I am from the little town of Columbus, Georgia. I'm the son of a pastor. Both my grandfathers were pastors. It's a little hard getting up in the church to speak, because I'll tell you, one thing I said when I got older, I would never be in the ministry. I didn't want to be in the ministry. But if what we're doing right here is not a ministry, I don't know what is. Family is everything. If we don't have strong families, we do not have a strong nation. And some of the cases that have been going on over the past couple of years since I've been doing this will blow your mind. Back at the end of 2019, I started Dad Talk Today as a way to bring awareness as to what was going on. I was a father. I actually had custody of my children. I had been in a marriage where somebody had had multiple affairs on me. And when they took off, I became dad. Some of the hardest times of my life. I did like many men do. Your self-esteem is low. They went and got with somebody else. So I rushed into another relationship, because that relationship was how I found my self-esteem. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. It was too quick. I didn't heal. And people will say, well, you just need to make better choices. You need to know what you're doing before you get into it. That's easier said than done sometimes, guys. You meet that person, you think you know them. It could be years down the line before you find out who you're actually around. It wasn't years for me, but after I went to have a child with this person, I started realizing the toxic place that I got myself into. Now, I didn't want to have no drag-out custody battles or anything like that. Let's just go our separate ways and let's be parents. That's not what happened. I started having my child kept from me. I was the father that wanted to be there. Even without a court order, I would pay child support every single month. Once she found out I had moved on and was dating someone else, this is about a year into this, she started keeping me from my child. And I said, I'm not going to let this happen. I went to talk to an attorney, like most of us guys do, right? We got this justice system. This is supposed to provide us with justice. Back then, single father, got these girls in the house with me. I didn't have much money. It was taking everything I had. I had this house that I had signed with his wife. We was both paying these bills. Now that's gone. It's all on my back. But I saved this money, and I went and got a consultation. And I'll never forget what this attorney said to me. He said, Eric, it was cheaper to keep her. You're a man. This ain't gonna happen. My best advice for you is to try to get back with her. And I said, okay. this ain't happening. There was a reason I was here in the first place, you know, and I'm a person, I tried in my marriage and in this relationship to make everything work, guys. I wish divorce didn't happen, but it does. So I said, I'm gonna go find another attorney. Let me go see if I can get some more advice. I'll go to the next attorney, and I think this case is true for a lot of these guys. You got one of the best cases I've ever heard. We can get you whatever it is you want, but I need $10,000 to get started. $10,000. Yeah, let me go get that for you. I remember going home that night, still somewhat fresh out of a divorce, wanting to see my baby girl. And this is being dangled over my head for nothing more than money. And I felt hopeless. There was days I didn't even want to get out of bed, guys. And I felt like nobody was listening to me. I started looking up on resources for men. Maybe I can find out what's going on. Maybe somebody can provide a little bit of relief. There was nothing out there. There really wasn't. And I was a big podcast listener. I love podcasts. And I was a route salesman at that point in time. I would listen to that from point A to point B. And I started looking for some podcasts for these men. I didn't see anything. Back in my 20s, I actually used to promote concerts. I worked with celebrities and musicians, and it was a bad lifestyle. I got out of it, but I knew I had a little bit of a background in the entertainment industry. So I said, what if I can kind of bring this over here and make this podcast and start bringing these issues to the forefront? So that's what we did. Everybody starts something thinking that it's going to be successful, right? Little did I know how many people were going through these issues. I thought I was just one of few. By the time we did the first podcast, there was 10,000 followers within a couple of months. And then I realized, like, whoa, something's going on here. I did one of my first episodes on something that's known as parental alienation, where one parent wants to alienate that child from the other parent. They tell them lies, they tell them gaslighting, it might be the false allegations. And the messages just started coming in. And I was like, oh God, what is going on here? We're about a year and a half into this. There's 300,000 followers on this show. And I'm telling you, the messages and the stories that you're gonna hear are crazy. And you'll hear some of these stories from a team right over here. I'm going to share a couple of those stories with you real quick. This past Thanksgiving, I do a show. I didn't want anybody to have to watch that show, but for anybody that needed it, that wasn't there, didn't have their kids there with them for the holiday for this supper. I wanted to be there so they could come on, they could talk, they could tell their stories, let them know, hey, you're not alone. We wanted to provide a safe space. That's the thing about men. That's the thing about these communities, like they're told to man up, just suck it up, just get over it. And then we're sending these people with wounds out back into the world that have not healed. We need to provide a safe space for these men to talk, and that's what we was doing that day. The person that was the first to come on there and speak with me, his name was John Mast. Let me tell you a little bit about John's story. John, for 3 years, was a father that had faced false allegations of sexual molestation and physical abuse. These can be very hard to fight off, very, very hard. About the third year into this, and went back to court, she said that he beat her at a custody exchange. This went down in Idaho. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Idaho, but there's nothing in Idaho. And I guess she thought nobody was looking. There was cameras. He didn't get nowhere near her. They saw this. The information started coming out. John was exonerated last May. I wish that was a reason to clap. He was exonerated last May. It wasn't until this past December that they actually sat down with him to tell him when he was going to get his kids back. And this is after Thanksgiving that he came on to tell what was going on with him, looking for a little support. Then when December comes around, they make him wait until February to be able to get his kids. This is after 3 years of false allegations and $150,000, guys, in family court. John pulled up into the parking lot. He was so excited. He told everybody about it. And when he got there, his ex-father-in-law got out of the car, put 3 bullets in him and killed him. All right. Right after this, Mom pulls up in the parking lot with these 2 little kids. Dad dead on the ground. This is what we're talking about, guys. This is one of the most serious things going on in this country right now. Now, the first time that I'm meeting this guy that came on my show, I'm standing over his casket. Now, not all of these cases are that severe, but this is what some of these guys are going through. John was an amazing father. He was an amazing father and loved his kids. He should have never had to pay $150,000 and go through these false allegations to see his kids in the first place. Obviously, there was something going on, but this bias that goes on, it seeks to take these guys out because of the Title 4D. Like Ajit was talking about, there is an incentive paid off of every dollar in child support that the federal government gives back to the states. They make billions of dollars off of making sure these guys pay child support. It's in their best interest to make sure whoever makes the most money gets the least amount of time, so he pays the most in child support. There's actually a famous case that come out. Most of the time that's going to be dad. 83.5% of the time, dad's going to be without custody. There's a famous case that just came out and everybody's been like, oh my God, what's going on? Kelly Clarkson, I think it was reported she is supposed to pay $225,000 a month in child support. At what point is this no longer child support, right? Where we messed up in the first place, marriage was supposed to be between man, woman, and God. Somewhere in there, the government made its way in and said, we can start breaking apart this family. Guys, in the past 5 months, I've been to 42 states, walking up in capitals, legislators not even knowing we're coming, to come and tell them stories like John and about these incentives. Half of our politicians are attorneys. It's scary. It's scary. Why do we have a fatherless epidemic? They created it. They really did. You know, I wish marriage did not end up in divorce. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. Around half of our marriages end up in divorce. And we got some news not long ago that everybody was crazy. Hey, the divorce rate's at the lowest it's ever been. We should celebrate, right? I guess. Marriage is also at the lowest rate it's ever been. People aren't getting married anymore. That nuclear family that used to be so cherished has been broken up. And it's sad. I was raised by a great father, and seeing him in the ministry and the lessons that he provided me, and him and my mom might not always get along, but they always stuck on in there. Now it seems like when couples hit a snag, it's just, we're gonna go away. You got other incentives like Section 8 that says, hey, we'll give you government assistance, we'll give you welfare, we'll give you food stamps, we'll give you all this. There's only one catch. You can't have dad at home. How scary is that? Now let's think back a couple of months ago when unemployment was going on and people were making more money than sitting at home, than going to work, just sitting at home. I can't blame a lot of them, but guess what? Nobody wanted to work anymore. This is the dangers of these incentives, guys. We have incentivized breaking up our families. If that don't sicken you, I don't know what will. Got a couple other stories I'll run by you real quick. Good friend of mine, Mr. Jonathan Vanderhagen out of Detroit, Michigan. I became good friends with him. This is a father that was trying his best to get custody of his son. His son was born with hydrocephalus, water on the brain. Mom was not taken to his doctor's appointments. She was abusing drugs, sometimes leaving him at the house by himself. Year and a half old, he went to the court and said, Judge, if you don't give me custody of my son's gonna die. The judge said to him, no, custody remains with Mom. I'm not taking a child from the mother. So Jonathan left there. Obviously, he was pretty upset. He wanted to be with his son. 2 weeks later, the baby boy died. 2 weeks. Jonathan takes off to Facebook to say, look, I'm going to uncover everything that's going on in this county. He was upset. Who wouldn't be? That's my child. They put him in jail with a $500,000 bond. Around the midway point while he's in there, they come up to him, you know what, John, we'll let you out. We'll let you out, but we've got one little thing. You can't talk about this anymore. I'm not going to give you the words that John said, because they're a little bit worse than what, all right? But he said, I've got nothing to lose. My son is gone. I'm not taking your plea deal. Take it to court. Guys, when he went to court, he beat that judge. And a lot of people was excited when they heard about that, because that's very rare. You don't usually beat a judge. At the same time, I was the one on the phone with him afterwards, listening to him grieve over the loss of his little boy. A death that should have never happened in the first place. What's the consequences for this judge? That he told this plainly to you. Nothing. Nothing. Got another case that's going on. Good friend of mine, you guys might have heard about this over in the state of Texas. His name is Jeff Younger, the Save James case. They had been trying to gender transition his son since he was 7 years old. Okay? He has been fighting this tooth and nail. The boy is 9 now. At one point in time, when he took it to the courts gave custody to the mom. They were in favor of this transition happening. And he said, this is child abuse. I can't even believe we're talking about this right now. But no, mom got custody. Ted Cruz heard about this. He got involved, and he got custody back to Jeff. Sounds good, right? Didn't last long. Mom just got full custody. He gets a couple of visits a month and has to pay. They got to be supervised. And this is a father that's just trying to keep his son from transitioning at 9 years old. Jeff has spent $1.3 million fighting this. And it's also became political. Not just the family courts. It seems like, you know, the crazy thing is, guys, they also put a gag order on Jeff. He's not allowed to talk about this. But he's doing it anyway. Jeff came on our show, and we've been trying to expose this with everything we've got. And I would ask for the church too. You know, we've been going around telling this everywhere we can get it out. If we can't stand for this, what can we stand for? We are fighting for the very soul of our nation right now. We are fighting for our families, and they seek to tear our families apart. We have got to get something done about these incentives. And these stories, guys, I could go on and on and on. But it's crazy. Don't think they don't know about it. Don't think they don't know about it. You know, if I could ask anything, if you hear this message today, make sure somebody hears it. The sad part about what we are going through right now is if you haven't been through it, most of the time you don't know about it. There's a narrative in society right now that says these dads are deadbeats. They just don't want to pay child support. They're abandoning the home. They don't want to step up to responsibility. And you know what? There are some of those dads out there. And they're usually the ones that get away with this. There's some of those moms out there that do the same thing. But all I've seen since I've started this is guys that are fighting tooth and nail to be in their children's lives. But they run into this industry. 93% of fathers in the state of Texas end up without custody of their children. In the state of Texas. The Jeff Younger case went down in Texas. These numbers, again, guys, $60 billion a year. Family court makes more money than all other courts combined. All other courts. And we need your help exposing it. I got my team about to come up, and I tell you, I just want to say real quick, I could not do this without him. 42 states that we've been to, all of these guys are volunteers. We're not well funded. We are not well funded, and most of the time, when it comes to this, the mainstream media stays silent, because I gotta say, the mainstream media is trash, if you ask me. Okay? They have the power to talk about things that actually matter, but they just want to keep the arguments going because that makes them money. So that's why when they don't represent you in the media, we become the media. We are becoming the media. We're going to stand up for our families. We're going to fight. And we're going to see this country get put back together. And these guys that went with me all across this country, they do it without getting paid a dime because they believe in the message and what we are doing here. Yeah. So I want to introduce one of my